Sergio's just given me some amazing tips on gnocchi, and I'm going to put it to the test. The only thing is, the first time I ever tried gnocchi was an absolute disaster, and so I'm hoping this one's going to be a lot better. You want a couple of tablespoons of high heat oil. Now we want some onions. Crank up the heat, add in the wine, and then tomatoes go in. Just lightly push down. The sauce is ready for some Kalamata olives now, some capers, and now for your basil leaves. Some salt, cracked pepper. Excellent. Now we're on to the gnocchi. So this is the part that I'm a bit nervous about because there's a bit of a skill involved with making gnocchi. So we've got our mashed potato here, and we're going to add 1 yolk, 1 egg. I'm going to add a bit of Parmesan cheese, and I'm going to add a pinch of nutmeg. That's freshly grated nutmeg, and then a little bit of flour. You could use anything from 250 grams to 350. You know, it all depends on the day, it depends on the weather, it depends on how dry your potatoes are. So we're just going to work that in. You don't want your potato to be too gluggy. You want it to be still have that mashed potato texture so that it doesn't stick and you can just break it away. You don't want to overwork it either. Okay, so a good test is to just grab a bit of the potato or the gnocchi and just pull it away. And you want it to be quite firm but not sticky or gluggy. All right, now we're going to move fast. So I'm going to cut this into quarters. I'm going to lightly just flour this a little bit more, and we're going to roll it out. Okay, so grab a quarter, even break it in half. So we're just going to roll out the gnocchi. Just be really gentle when you're rolling it out. You don't want to squash it and overwork it. So remember what Sergio said. He said, you know, it might take a couple of times to get your, head around making gnocchi. So yeah, we'll see how I go. So far, so good. It looks right. And I've got my pot of water boiling, so it's all ready to go. I reckon I'll roll out one more and then get some cooking. It's a bit like playing Play-Doh. Well, this looks like it's ready to cut. So, don't want it too big. All right, we got some gnocchi. Grab my bowl. Just gonna shoot it in here. Now we're gonna get the gnocchi into the boiling water. All right, perfect. Now I'm just going to turn the boiling water down a little bit. Now, be careful when you're pouring the gnocchi in because it's going to splash up. They don't take long to cook at all. When they're ready, they just pop up to the surface, so you can just grab yourself a sieve and scoop them off. And refresh them straight away in icy cold water. Some are a little odd shaped, but hey, that's okay. Excellent, so next step is putting them into the baking dish and saucing them. Alrighty, so we want to strain our gnocchi from the water and dry it off, give it a good shake. It's strained off and into the baking dish. And we're going to spoon our Italian tomato and basil sauce over top. Be generous with it, get it all in there. Now lay a few basil leaves on top. Nice fresh basil leaves from my garden. Now I'm going to finish it with Mainland's new cheese type, Egmont, which has a really strong cheddar flavour and a smooth golden melt, which melts beautifully well. It's great for cooking, baking. Excellent. Now this is going into the oven. 180 degrees into the oven to cook. Should be ready. And look at that, golden brown, it looks perfect. Now, a couple of fresh basil leaves on top to finish it off. And there is your gnocchi with your Italian tomato sauce and melted Egmont cheese on top. That wasn't too hard. Baby, I love it. I'd love to learn about what's in my food so I know what I'm putting into my body. So I thought I'd have a chat about my recipe with Cherry from the Sanitarium Nutrition Service. I think you're going to like this next recipe. I'm using a lot of the roast vegetables, which gives it a lot of colour.
Fantastic. The high colour comes from carotenoids, which are the colourful pigment, and they're natural antioxidants. We know that antioxidants are really great for preventing lifestyle diseases like cancer and coronary heart disease.
Oh yeah, because I used to live over in Asia, and over there I found they used a lot of food for medicinal purposes.
Definitely. We know from research that Asian countries, particularly those that eat a lot of plant-based food, have lower rates of those lifestyle diseases.
No, that's good. Well, that means we're going to eat more of these then, eh?
Exactly, lifestyle medicine.
Have you actually had a calzone?
Yep, I have. But are you making your own dough?
Yep.
Excellent. It's really important that we know what goes into our food. We don't want to be loading it up with preservatives, so making your own, really make sure that you know what's in it.
Baby, I love it.
Knowing where my food comes from is really important to me, so I try to grow as much as I can myself in my little home veggie garden. Check out my homegrown capsicums. I do love it when I can use my own vegetables, but if you're a bit like me and never know when it's time to plant, then you need to get yourself a McGregor's germination thermometer. It's super easy. You just poke it into the soil like this, and it gives you a little temperature reading and pretty much tells you when it's ready to plant. All right, let's go make some calzones.
Baby, I love it.
After the break, keeping our Italian theme, I'll show you how to make a bellissimo roasted vegetable calzone. I've got my roast vegetables, and today I'm going to be doing a calzone. Now, a calzone is an Italian dish, but I actually had my first calzone in America when I was living over in Breckenridge, and absolutely loved it. So I'm going to make my own here. The best thing to do is to start off with making your own dough. So you want to weigh out 500 grams of flour. Then we're going to pour that into a bowl here. Now, the best thing about making your own dough is the fact that you know exactly what goes into it. No preservatives, additives, no yuckies or anything like that. We've got some yeast, some dry yeast. So I'm just going to add that in. Pinch of salt. And some lukewarm water. And some good quality olive oil. Just 1 tablespoon, perfect. Okay, so now we're just going to collect it into a ball. Now it will come across like it's quite wet, the dough. Just be patient and stick with it. It will dry out as you work it, and you've got to work it for about 10 minutes to get it activated. Get the yeast working, but don't overwork it. Make it nice and light. I'll show you how. Okay, so we're just going to turn it out onto the board. Now I'm just going to lightly work it. Kneading. So you want to pick it up and make it nice and light, and then just knead it. Now it's starting to look nice and smooth. You can see it like that, so it's a couple more kneads, and then you want to place it back into the bowl. Place it at the bottom, and then we're going to cover it. So you just want to cover this, and then leave it in a nice warm place for 2 hours. Right, I'm going to start off with the eggplant for the filling. Now, I'm going to char grill them in the pan because I want that sort of slight char grill taste to come through in the calzone. So we're just going to slice these up. Excellent. So I'm just going to place them out on the plate so that they dry out and get rid of all the moisture and it doesn't spit up at me in the fry pan. Now, onto the olives. Got some olives here. Now all I'm going to do is just slice them down the middle. I don't need too many, I'm just going to make 1 calzone. Excellent, that should do. So I've sliced some olives. So I've got my mushroom slice, my red onion slice. Now I'm just going to grate some mozzarella and have that ready. Excellent, my eggplant's looking dry. So I'm just going to turn on the element. Just going to brush it with some olive oil. Now you want to make sure that you put enough olive oil onto the eggplant, but you don't saturate it. That's why I find it's better to use a brush. You have a lot more control over it. So I'm just going to add the eggplant to the hot pan. Get that nice sizzle going on. And while they're face down, we'll just brush the other side with some olive oil. So I'm pan frying them rather than roasting them because I like that slight char grilled flavour to it that I just don't get in the oven. They're looking good. Just flipping them over. And you'll see that they've got a nice charred look to it. Give us a nice flavour. All right, these are looking ready to go. So I'm going to place them onto a paper towel just over here so that we can get all the excess oil off. Spin them around. You notice when you break into them, it looks nice and creamy. It's a good sign. Now I'm just going to season these. Season them lightly with a little bit of sea salt. Now let's check on the dough. Okay, excellent. My dough's looking good, nice and risen. So now I'm going to take it out of the bowl and cut a slither off. Just gonna flour my board lightly. All right, so got it here. Cut a slither. Put the rest back in there. So I'm just gonna roll it out. Now it's just like you're making a pizza. So roll it out nice and flat and round. It's a little bit rustic. My board's a little bit warped, but it's always good to use a flat board. It's looking good. Flour a little bit. So you wanna make it nice and wide, nice and round. And now this dough puffs up quite a lot, so don't leave it nice and thick because it will puff up. There we go, that's looking good. All right, now for our filling. So I'm just gonna spray a heated pizza stone. Now we're gonna transfer this over. Now you gotta work quick. Transfer this over. All right, so we're gonna start off with some tomato paste. Just gonna spoon it into here. I've just got some whole grain mustard and I'm just gonna put a little bit in there. Just give it a bit of flavor. I'm just gonna spoon that in half. So our mushrooms, just lay them on, place them on, roughly around. Char-grilled eggplant, place them on like that. Excellent, now a red onion. So exactly what you put on a pizza, but only on half, and then we're gonna fold it through. Get our sliced olives. Excellent, and I'm just putting some spinach on, some fresh spinach. Gives you all those iron nutrients. Now we're gonna go onto our feta. Some beautiful feta cheese, and just crumble it over. Some grated mozzarella, which is nice and creamy. And now to top it off with our roasted vegetables. Bit of capsicum, which give you the vitamin C to help absorb the iron, and the roasted zucchini on top. Oh, I love my pizzas just to be jam-packed full of goodness. All right, a little bit of salt. And a little bit of pepper. And now we're gonna fold it over. So fold it right over. Now around the sides, just fold them up. There you go, fold it over. And then dust it with some polenta to finish off. And this goes into the oven. There we go, it looks really good, nice and brown. So we're gonna get it off the stone. There we go. Oh yeah, it looks good. There we go, place it onto the plate. And it's looking good. And there you go, a beautiful roasted vegetable calzone. For the recipes featured on tonight's show and the chance to win fabulous prizes, see the Savour section inside this week's Herald on Sunday. Next week I show you my recipe for gourmet beef and mushroom phyllo pies. And if you've ever wondered what to do with tofu, I find out from vegetarian master Peter Chaplin.